Hello, everybody. Here we are Tuesday night with our leader of Stef, the Secret Templar of Ecliptic Full Circle. So it's going to be a fun night tonight. It's going to get a little crazy probably, but, where's the fun in that if you can't be crazy? Yeah, better late than never. Stef had some hangups. I was starting to get worried, so I had to bump the time up because StreamYard has to follow Facebook's rules, and if you don't start streaming 10 minutes from the time of the start of the show, then it deletes it automatically. So stuff happens. Hopefully no technical issues tonight. I've been working on stuff, so we shall see what's going to happen tonight. No more freeze frame. So with that being said, without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Stef WIlson himself, the master of circles.
How's it going? Now I'm getting feedback. Did you get feedback? Did you hear
I don't
feedback?
have feedback.
Okay, good. I was worried. I thought I heard. There's feedback?
Turn the sound down from on the iPad.
Gotcha. Sound
How you doing tonight, Lewis? Hi, Carrie.
Sound is off on the iPad.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Carrie's over on the side. She's busy. Excuse me.
Busy fixing all those lines that are missing probably, huh?
Yeah, basically. Editing something on for Lewis. Lewis had some changes. I never realized that before. Lewis is quite the editor, the art editor. I was thinking back over the covers and the work we've done. He's always okay, but he's the but guy, Oh, it looks great, but I noticed that every work I've done for him, there's been a but. So I didn't figure him for that type, but I was like, holy crap, he does change everything. So.
Well, hey, you know what? At least he's honest and upfront about it. It could be worse. You could always get the person that commissions a piece to be done, and then they don't say anything, and then when the art comes, they're not happy with it.
Right. So.
I mean, that's one thing people need to know is the artist is open to suggestions because in the end, you're the one that's getting the piece. So if you're not happy, they're not happy.
Definitely.
Trying to wait and see if we get a few more people in here.
Okay. So I read the chapters, man.
Did you?
Yeah. Very nice.
Scathing.
Very nice. Want to see where it's going, huh?
I said, oh no, here comes the scathing book review.
No scathing book review. I want to see where it's going. I think Carrie's in like the middle of it. So.
Oh, is she?
She hasn't finished reading it because she was doing that thing for Lewis.
So my idea is for the excerpt that I sent you guys is when it comes, close to Kickstart time, that's what I'm going to release to the public.
Okay. Like the teaser?
Yeah. So once it goes to editing and it gets edited, whatever fix that I missed, and it comes back to me and then it gets copyrighted, I'll take those first few chapters and I'll put it into a PDF and make it available online. That way, people can kind of read into where the book is going and what the book's about instead of just, I don't really know what the book's about or, where it's going. So, this
that makes sense.
They have something to be a little bit interested in without giving away too much.
Right. Yeah. You could put the link right into the Kickstarter at some point,
Yep.
But yeah, Carrie said she loves it so far. So that's good. That's 2 people.
Well, I'm glad. I know Wendy's mad at me.
Why? Because you didn't send it to her? No,
because of the where I left off at.
Oh, okay.
No, she's not mad. She's just she's like, really? You had to end the book there? I was like, well, that's what Tiffany said, but whatever. That's part of why I wanted, to see what the reaction is that way it teases, do you want to read more?
Right.
And, did I achieve that goal?
Right. Yeah, see, and I'm cool with that kind of thing. Like, I don't know why I have a disconnect with that. But, like, you give me 3 exciting chapters like that, I'm like, okay. I can wait for the other ones. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if a series ends, there's these cliffhangers and people go nuts. How can they end it like that? I gotta wait a whole year, like back in the day. It doesn't bother me at all. I have like seen things where I've seen like 5 seasons of something, and for whatever reason, I never saw the 6th season. I don't care. It's fine. You know what I mean? Like I follow the story to the point wherever I follow it to, and then I'm fine with it. So it's the suspense doesn't kill me. I look forward to it, but like for some reason I don't have that suspense element. Like I gotta know. I always know. I'll eventually find out. So
Well, and you don't want it to be rushed either. You want,
no,
good things come with time, and so
yeah,
it's like, sometimes waiting is a good thing.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of like if you watch all of the Lord of the Rings movies and then they're done. It's cool when you're doing it, but when they're done, you're like, well, I got nothing to look forward to now. It's
Yep.
almost better to do them individually and spread them out. Oh boy, Phil's here. Eve's here.
Hi, Eve. Hi, Phil.
Phil, what's up, man? Freeze frame. That's gonna be your
Not
nickname,
tonight.
buddy. That is going to be your nickname. You know that.
Not tonight.
Something will come out of the Wasps things. That'll be your new nickname then.
Oh man.
Something will come out.
It was brutal. So here's what happened. So this morning, I walked out of the garage at work and went to the back of the truck, and the truck was parked like 5-6 foot from the wall. Well,
Right.
apparently underneath the reserved parking sign where we park our trucks at,
Right.
there where the siding is, it's kind of wavy, and there's
Right.
an opening underneath, and they had built a nest in there. Well,
okay.
Nobody knew it was there, and so I walked out to the truck this morning to grab the sample bottles out of the back,
Right.
and I shut the door and went to walk back in, and I seen something black fly past my face real quick,
Right.
and then I felt it hit me, and it hit me like 2 or 3 times right here on the back of my shoulder.
Right.
And I was like, oh man. So it was, after about 5 or 10 minutes, it wasn't too bad. But then like around 11 o'clock today, like all the way from here down my elbow and into my wrist, like my joints and everything.
Right.
So it was like, yeah, this definitely is a continuation of Monday, because we had a truck breakdown as soon as he pulled out of the shop this morning.
So it was bad luck week. So was it Wasps? A Wasp that came after you?
Yeah, so it was a Wasp.
Because usually Yellow Jackets are the one that are hyper nuts. Like I never had a problem with Wasps or Hornets actually, because they're generally pretty, they just kind of hang out. But Yellow Jackets are the ones. I never have a problem
with them either. That's why I was so weirded out by what it was. So later, about 10 minutes later, I walked out there to investigate and see what it was, and it was a wasp nest. And the one that stung me was like hanging upside down, and every time I moved, he turned and was looking at me. He's like, "Go ahead and come close. I'll get you again."
That's awesome.
We don't have any wasp spray at work, so I went and got brake cleaner and sprayed them down with that.
I guess that works.
Hey, you know what? I got rid of the nest, so no more wasp stings, hopefully, for the rest of the week.
Right.
Yeah, I did get attacked by murder hornets, Phil. That's exactly the first thing I thought of this morning.
Right? It's gonna be.
I was like, oh no, it's murder hornets. They're out to get us. That's the rumor.
Yeah, but how could you not think that with this year?
Oh, no joke. It's been absolutely crazy. So, and now they're talking about the bubonic plague is back
in China.
Yeah, and then they've got the swine flu. They're talking about it's going to be coming this fall.
Great.
So we're in for a real treat. You're going to have to go live every single night to keep us entertained. Just get on and do You Can Draw segments, because it's not like you have anything else to do, right?
I know, right? I don't have anything else I'm doing.
So let's see if we can get this stuff to work for once without any problems. So let's talk about your piece for the book. And here is Xenon Titan.
Very nice.
Sorry, it's kind of crooked. I had to take a picture on the phone because StreamYard only allows a 5 megabyte picture. And so when I scanned it, it was like 11 megabytes. So I had to take a picture of it with my phone. So it's kind of crooked.
Well, and it's toned paper. It's not easy to take a photograph of, I've learned. And it requires some editing,
Yep.
If for some reason the phone doesn't care for toned paper, like because of the texture of it or whatever, because that kind of toned paper has, about 5 or 6 colors to it, really, because of the recycled content. So even when I take a picture with my phone of somebody's commission or something like that, I guess because the phone is trying to read all the different colors in the paper, it always comes out a little wonky. So I always have to adjust it a bit. So it's a tough paper to take a picture of.
Yes, it's very tough to take a picture of. I think that was like the 8th picture, and that's why it's crooked like it is, because at that angle, it didn't have all that different tonal stuff going on.
Yep. Yeah, and then you run into the problem. It's a graphite pencil, so when you get the lighting perfect for the page, it makes some of the lines completely disappear because they're picking up the shine of the light. Yeah, I know, it's a trick. I had a lot of fun photographing that kind of paper over the years. When Wendy did the vintage cards that were done on the tone paper, after she took a picture of them, she brought them into Photoshop or something like that to bring the line work back in that was getting, blurred out by the light. So that's going to be what, chapter 1? That picture is that what it is?
No, so about 5 or 6 of the pieces. Huh?
I'm just kidding you, man.
Oh no. I don't know where that one's going to go yet. I haven't quite decided. I have 5 pieces that have specific chapters that they're going to go in, and the other 5 I'm going to play with and see where they go best in. So that I haven't really quite figured out yet. I'm going to wait until I get all of the pieces in front of me, minus the ones that are specific to a chapter, like Eve's and CB's. So CB is starting on the piece for the book. I guess
so Eve's is specific to a chapter, like you had a particular image that you needed for that chapter. Is that what you're saying? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like with Finney's art, for instance, so you've got the spaceship in the background, and you got Xenon Titan running towards the camera, or towards you, and so in the background you see a ship, and in the ship there's like a dark figure. So what I kind of did with that was I was like, hey, look, this is what happens in a chapter. I need you, to have this done. And so the way that I did the picture, it's pretty much to the scene, but it leaves out the details that give away what the scene's about. So like, who's the person in the ship? If you read the chapter, you'll know who's in the ship. But all you see is a dark figure. There, there's a silhouette of a person. There's not, a face to it. There's no name. There's no nothing. And so that was the hard part, was trying to figure out how do I incorporate these scenes from the book into art without giving away too much.
Gotcha.
So like Eve's piece is going to be Xenon Titan riding a creature. Okay. So it's a creature, and it looks awesome, but you don't know anything about it.
Right. Well, it's kind of like a little bit of an intro to the chapter then,
Yes. So, I mean, and with doing the art book too, everybody's going to be able to see the art right up front without having to skip through the book. And, plus I've been posting the art because, when I get it in, I've been putting it up on the page because I want to show off all the beautiful art you guys have done. So everybody, before they even get their book, if they purchase it, will have already seen all the pieces. And so it's going to be fun to go, okay, well, I really like this piece, but why this? Like with David's, it's got the different leg on it. There's a reason for all of that. And that's something that, Eve, you didn't mess the book up.
She messed the book up. No, it's okay. She messed the book up. Hey, Ruben. Hey, James. No, she messed the book up. And hi, Lewis. I think I said Lewis before.
Hi, Lewis. Hi, Scott. Hey, everybody. Sorry, I got to talking. I didn't see you all joining in. So, but yeah, I mean, that would spend part of my struggle with writing the book is like, so Eve's part, for instance, she didn't ruin the book, but, you know, Tiffany read through the book and I read through the book what I had written from the rough draft to the final draft, because I've got like 80 drafts where I've just like, it started out as notes, like
Right.
this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and ultimately where I wanted to end at in book one. And then it went into several rough drafts. And then what you read is my semi-final draft. I still haven't gone through and edited. I did edit the last chapter that I did, and there was a couple of double words where, you know, Tiffany would ask me something, and the kids would ask me something. And when you write, you get the sentence in your head, and if you're at the beginning of a sentence and you stop, you start your sentence over again. So you go to read it, and it's like, and it'll say, and then there was light. So you've got where you started plus where you started again and ended the sentence.
Right.
And so, you know, there's catching those things. And if you spelling, you know, swapped letters, because I turned spell check off because I'm tired of it, you know, with creative writing, unless I go into the dictionary and add in each new thing as I create it, it's going to automatically change it. So I just turned spell checker off. So that's why what I sent you such a rough draft, and I got to go back through and proof it.
Well, I would imagine spell check would have a fun time with your title.
It doesn't mind Xenon Titan. Even my phone, from me writing it so much.
Oh, for you typing it so much, yep.
Yeah, so it's automatically was like, it would change it, and I'm like, no, change it back. And so it's like, okay, well, he likes this word, so we're going to leave it alone.
Right. Now it pops up that way.
Yeah, so like the dragon for Eve's piece, or the wyvern-like creature, his name, it did not like it. It absolutely hated it. It was just making up the most absurd names. So
I love when it does that, though.
Oh, and it's
so
funny
when it picks out. It's like, huh? How did that come up?
Well, and
God forbid you hit send.
Well, and it's even funny when you start writing and you just keep writing, and then you stop at the end of a paragraph and you go back and read it, and you're like, where did it come up with this word?
Right.
Where did this come from?
Yep.
And you go to change it, and it goes to something else the second time. You're like, what is going on here?
Right.
So, I mean, there's been a lot of things. You know, the names of the characters, it doesn't like them. The material. So, like, I invented a new element that Xenon Titan suits made out of.
Right.
It does not like that either, because it wants to change it to it read between the lines, because I don't want to say anything about it because it's not copyrighted yet.
Right.
But there's an element that sounds kind of close to it, and it's like, no, I want it to be this.
It actually could be, because of spell check, it could be like 6 different words. You know what I mean? Like, it definitely sounds like one, but even if you go to try and correct or backspace on it, it'll probably give you 3 other possibilities.
Yep.
Because there are a lot of words similar to that. Yeah. Checking the comments.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's hard to keep in mind too. You know, like Eve was saying here, sentence variance is a tricky thing to keep in mind, and it is. So, I mean, that's something you have to catch when you go back through and read it, because you know, you're writing as you're thinking. So you'll think one thing and end where you started thinking the same way. And so you'll forget this back here and then write something similar. So then when you go back and read it, you're like, okay. And that's something that I've been doing as I go back through, is I'll write a chapter and I'll go back through and read it, and I'll go, okay, well, I use these same words here that I used towards the end of this paragraph. What words can I swap out and change it up a little bit? So that, you know, there's a lot of things that people don't think about when you're writing, but it's hard to not repeat yourself.
Yeah, well, and one of the things I noticed, I was an English major first before I went into business. So, one of the things I remember, like, even you have to go back and you look at the paragraph and you see that there's 5 sentences in the paragraph, and you started 4 of them with the guy's name. So now you have to rearrange those sentences so it doesn't sound like, you know, John, 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 John as you're reading through. So you got to break up the sentences and change the prepositions around and put John in the middle of the sentence or things like that. It's the kind of things you have to go back and look for. It seems fine when you're putting it down on paper or composing it, but then you go back and look at it as a reader and you're like, wow, I'm repeating myself, or I'm using the same word. You find you use the same word like 5 times in the same paragraph. Well, now it sounds
Yep.
repetitive and you got to change it. So.
Well, and that's why you go through all these drafts. I mean, if you would read the original draft,
Right.
I mean, from the notes to the draft to the rough draft to the final draft, there's been several change-ups that have taken place, but I'm still going to miss stuff. And that's where the editor comes in. That when I send it off for editing, they're going to go through and they're going to spell check and say, okay, what words did he miss? What punctuation did he mess up? Did he forget a comma? Did he forget an apostrophe? And mainly, is there a variation of sentence structure throughout the book? I could read it all day long and not notice it, but somebody, that's why I have Tiffany go through and read, and she'll be like, oh, here's a double word here. I'm like, oh, I skimmed right over it. Because, when I read it, I just kind of skim through it because I know what I wrote.
Because it's already in your head, right? You're
Exactly.
filling in the details as you go. Yeah, no, one of my big things has always been continuity, too. First person to third person continuity, maintaining that. Dialogue, like dialogue being a continuation of action so that it's not a break in the action. Because if you're reading about somebody doing something and then you read conversation and then you read them about them doing something again, if the conversation distracted you from the action that was unfolding, then you know what I mean? It has to flow through so that you don't.
Yeah.
So when you come back from the dialogue, the few words of dialogue, you know where you left off. So I've always been big on continuity as far as writing and stuff like that. So it's just always been my thing.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing with continuity too is time continuity. So you can't say a few days later and then go forward in a paragraph and be like, it's been a few weeks. So you got to kind of lay out a timeline as you're writing the story and say, this happened at this time, this happened at this time. And when I'm within the structure of these 2 chapters, I need to stay on this timeline, because it's easy to pause and go get something to drink and come back and then be on 2 weeks later instead of 2 days later. And it's like, you don't notice it until you go back and you're like, oh, how did I do this? Now I got to fix all of this.
And the problem is you have it composed in your head. And so what happens is in your head, it's 2 days later and then it's 2 weeks later. You bridged that time period. But like you said, if in your writing you didn't bridge it as it was in your mind, suddenly it appears on paper completely separate. And when you go back and you look at it, you're like, how did, you realize that you forgot to tell what was going on inside your head because you got interrupted. So.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. It's like, trying to, it's been a tough process. And, with working a full-time job and then having kids, and stuff like that.
Getting attacked by wasps. Yeah.
Getting attacked by wasps, freezing up and having to yell at my phone for 5 minutes so I can join back in the live show.
And Eve is saying college paper flashbacks. Exactly. Stupid stuff where you go back and look at it and go, oh, frig. And now you got to rewrite it, Yeah.
Yeah, and it is like the comic creating process. It's absolute madness. And, it's been difficult. I mean, and that's the thing that I was trying to say is, when with working and then, we got stuff to go do as a family or, doctor's appointment stuff like that we go to. I carry, I may go.
Lewis is making her work.
So I may go, write a chapter or a half a chapter or, a few pages, and then we leave and go do something. Then I come back and I got to get back in the mindset. And so I'll go back through and read through what I wrote before I left and then try to pick up from there. And it's hard to do. It's hard. And
it's tough because you're backtracking too. You have to backtrack on what you did because it was yesterday. And if you just jumped right in, it's not, even like a drawing is easier because wherever you left off, you just pick up and keep going with the lines. But with the writing, like you said, if you jump back into it a day from now, you can't just jump back in. You got to see where you were going at that point when you left off. So it's tough. Yeah.
Well, that, and you got to have the same mood you were in too. So as you write, your writing reflects the mood that you're in. And so
That's
it's
funny
like,
because I had a conversation with Wendy about that. The thing that she was writing that night was very dark, and she needed to be working on a piece that was lighter. And she actually she couldn't do it that night because she was in a darker mood for that piece. And she was like, I'll just have to try it tomorrow. She's like, because I'm not in the right mood to write something lighter because I'm so wrapped up in this story right now. Which I never thought of. I mean, I don't do creative writing, so I never thought about that. Like, you have to be in the mood to do a certain thing. I mean, I'm always in the mood to draw boobs. So whose boobs really doesn't matter to me, So I don't have to get in the mood to draw it, but I can see with creative writing, since you're trying to create ideas, you probably have to be in the right zone for that particular whatever you're working on.
well, yeah, and like if you have an action piece, you got to be in the, if you're in like a, kind of a mood, the action scene of that book's going to be
Right. No, that
but
makes sense.
If you're in the mood to like, oh, well, he came in and there was this huge explosion as he dropped down, and you're in this, like you were playing a video game and living it out in your head, and you're in this mood to just like explain how awesome it is.
Right.
You can really write a scene like that. But if you're in a depressed mood, or you're in a sad mood, or you've had a bad day, you can't sit down and make something awesome because your feelings are going to feed into it.
Right.
And so, there's been nights where I get home and I'm like, all right, I'm going to write tonight, and I'll sit down and I'll be like, I'm just not feeling the mood right now. And so, I might write a line and then be like, nope, it's not happening tonight.
Right.
And you can't jump ahead. You have to continue where you left off. Because if you jump ahead, then you're making progress and you may never be back in the mood to finish the middle part. And, and then it's going to be hard later on to go back and try to backtrack into the story 3 chapters back and, finish where you left off. Right. And so, I tried it one time and I'm like, whoa, I'm already here.
Right.
I can't bring myself back here because all this has already happened.
Right. Well, yeah, and like you said, because if you leave off on chapter 1 to go and write chapter 4, it's kind of like when they put the railroad tracks from either side of the country and they had to meet in the middle. If you're off, you're not going to know till you get closer. So chapter 1 could go all the way through 3 and then be just shy of 4. What are you going to do? 3.5? No, I know what you're saying. Yeah. Plus, we've seen your typing speed, so that can't be helping.
It takes 3 months to do one paragraph. So
that was just that night, right? You're not that slow of a typist, are you?
No, I had the pencil in between my fingers.
Okay.
And
because I'm thinking, if you're a writer and you type that slow, you got a problem. It's gonna take you a long time.
Oh yeah, it would take me a long time. No, I were like over the weekend I did like 45, 50 pages on Saturday. Oh, okay. And then Sunday I did like another 10 pages. But Sunday was a late day because 4th of July, we didn't get up till almost 11 o'clock.
Good for you.
But the problem is I don't like type. So that was my biggest thing, is sitting. So that desk that I have downstairs, the keyboard comes to about right here when I'm typing, but the edge of the desk is right here. So as I'm trying to type, I got to keep my wrists up, and it's just so uncomfortable. So Tiffany, or my wife, ordered me one of those desks that you can use. That's kind of like a TV tray, but it's an actual desk. And so it's like an artist desk. It's got the trays and the drawers in it to put your pencils and your erasers in, so I can lay in bed. Right. Especially with the stuff that's been going on with me, it's hard for me to sit in the chair for very long without, like you see me all night on these videos, I'm shifting around trying to get comfortable. So it's like trying to write. It's hard to get in the mood because I'm so uncomfortable. And so she got me this table, and I've been laying in bed or sitting on the couch with it. Because that's the other cool thing. I can sit on the couch and just put it on my lap, lift it up to my level, tilt it back, and then I can type without the freaking desk digging into my wrist. So I really don't type that slow.
Good.
I'm not like super fast, like 80 words a minute, but I could do probably like 45.
Well, obviously, if you can crank out 10 pages in a day on a day where you got up late, that's not bad at all. So
So if anybody's just joining us, I'm going to flash Stef's art back up there. So here's his piece for the book, which is super surprising. I mean, look, there's no boobs.
I know, right?
It's a male character.
A male character.
I've ruined you.
You made me do that.
I can't believe it.
So Russell asked me to do a piece for his book, and I guess I overthought it, or I was overthinking it, because I didn't know a lot about the book other than what he told me or the character. But that's the way he wanted it. He wanted it so that people did their own spin on it. So I drew something on white paper and put a lot of time into composing it on white paper. And had it pretty much done, and I'm like, this is not working for me, because unless it was professionally digitally colored, it wasn't going to come out the way I wanted to. And then I'm like, wait, Russell's asking me to do a piece for his book, so he's asking for a piece that I do. So why am I doing it on white paper? Like, I'm known for working on this brown paper. I'm known for doing color in a certain way on this brown paper. I'm like, I should give Russell what I do, not try to think what he needs, kind of thing. So Russell totally agreed, and that's why we came up with the brown paper piece, because that is my work. That is substantially the majority of my work. So, and I love it because the colors come out so much better on that, because I work in pencil.
Yeah. And you know, not to take away from, you know, Wendy or any of the people that do digital art and digital coloring. It's not that I don't like it. I prefer hand drawn, hand colored over digital, just because, you know, growing up with the old comics. I mean, yeah, after the 90s, everybody pretty much went to digital art.
Right.
But, you know, seeing the imperfections in it, you know, not every cover, you know, like, you know, if it's a Stef cover that's hand drawn, it may be missing lines.
More likely than not. That's for the colorist to catch.
So, you know, it has grit to it. And
I just heard that on her leg. That's why she's laughing now.
You're in trouble.
Yep. So, no, I get what you mean. You know, it's funny because I look at some of the older comic covers. I mean, you know, there's like the Sun Kumanaki covers and things like that. Or some of the ones that are out that are absolutely gorgeously digitally rendered. They're beautiful. But there's something about an old school comic, you know, where you see the line work. You know, you see, you know, maybe the coloring isn't that great because they weren't doing such great coloring at that time. But it's just kind of cool in a way on its own.
Well, and like this piece here. So, you know, if you take this piece, for example, you know, he's like, you know, it's a sci-fi. So it takes place, you know, some of it takes place off world. Some of it takes place on a different planet. So another planet's not going to, you know, if it's digitally done and like Wendy's piece is like an explosions and it's like a battle scene. So it fits perfect. It's gorgeous. But like a piece like this, you're showing background, you're showing planet, you're showing, you know, you're showing grittiness. Right. And space isn't something that's clean. It's not something that, you know, is perfect. It's got grit. It's got character to it. And that's what I love about the hand-drawn aspect of doing pieces like this is you get that grit and you get that dirty feel to the art because there, you know, there's mistakes in there. It's not perfect. And digital art most of the time is perfect. It's too perfect.
Right. What I loved about doing his suit on that was when you described it to me, I mean, you gave me a general description, you know, of what his suit was like and how it worked. And I immediately envisioned, and I could have been wrong, but it was just in my head, a suit where, and you didn't tell me this, but it was just what I had in my head with the glowing stuff in between the panels, a suit of small pieces that could expand and flex and move around, kind of him. You know what I'm saying? Like if it was impacted, they would crunch together to protect him. Then they would spread out with his movement. So I just got this idea of a fluid suit, and I had a lot of fun doing it with pencil. But it was a lot of line work, but it was fun. You know, to try and place these things so that they overlapped, but they weren't. I didn't want them to look joined. I wanted everything to look like it was kind of separated. Fluid. Yeah. So it was fun.
Yeah,
It was fun, even though it wasn't a girl, and I don't want to do it again. But thanks for asking.
Well, we're gonna have to get you on board for book 2, right?
Oh boy.
and that was the fun part of commissioning you guys to do the piece and saying, okay, this is the information, this is the color scheme, and this is the base. But how do you interpret the character? So like your interpretation was way different than everybody else's. Where some people have, like with Ed's. I mean, Ed's was more over because I told him, but like with Wendy, she did the hex pattern instead of like the other patterns that I've done. Some of them have a triangle pattern to it. And, yours isn't tightly packed. And I thought it was an interesting take on it, and that's what's really cool about doing variant covers and stuff like that is getting somebody else's view from the outside in of, what the character looks like.
Exactly. I mean, like say Lewis, a little less editing. You know what I'm saying? Let somebody interpret things a little different. Just kidding, Lewis. Eve, thank you. Thank you for saying that, Eve. That was very kind of you. Yours was fantastic, by the way. And did I say hi to Ed? Ed, did you hear me say hi? I'm sorry. I saw Ed pop.
Give me a second. I'm going to turn the light on. I didn't turn it on because it was still light out behind me, but it's getting dark in here. Let me flip it on real quick.
Okay. Half circle moon in the background. Very funny, Phil. I got to work a circle in there somewhere.
All right, I'm back. That's better. Kind of.
It's funny because I posted about Wendy about the boobs, normal size boobs. Did you see that post? I love how everybody went nuts over that. It was for the work I was doing on the logo for her. And it's the same thing with drawing a guy. Can I draw a guy? Yeah, I can draw a guy. Can I draw smaller boobs? Of course I can draw smaller boobs. In fact, there was a point in time where I was drawing smaller boobs. So I enjoy being able to go a little bit outside of, what people expect kind of thing. In fact, I'm working on something for Jay, who has the Better Backstories project. It's a role-playing game project, and there's not going to be any girls on the picture. So I enjoy doing it. I don't do it a lot, so it's always a little bit of a challenge for me. But I do, I can do it. The question is, that's not usually what I'm asked to do. What's Eve saying? Or is it Phil? Who's giving you trouble?
Eve said, it's the Stef WIlson show, and then she said, oh, never mind, Russ is back. Yeah, I only went to go turn the light on because it was getting dark outside. Because you got to think I'm an hour behind you guys, Eve. So, it's going to be 9 o'clock there, so it's pitch black, but it's still light here. Or if you're windy, it's like...
it's
or
dark.
if you're windy, it's the middle of the afternoon, and she's texting you, and you're like, hey, you do know it's 11 o'clock at night, right?
Right, exactly. Right. Right, I know.
I'm teasing. If you watch
she gets up,
she
gets up, she watches her morning show, has some coffee, calls me. It's 2 a.m. here. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, she's messaged me a few times at like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right?
And
they have no concept. Past the Rocky Mountains, no concept of time whatsoever. It's their own little country.
I mean, in her defense, I was up anyway because that was back, when I wasn't sleeping. So I was up all night anyway. Mm-hmm. But like it's like, hey, and I got to think about it too, because like I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and so I start work at 4, and so like if I message Wendy at 7 o'clock, it's only 5 o'clock there, and I know she's not up yet.
That's my personal mission, though. When I'm up at 6 o'clock in the morning, that's when I'm replying as a hint. By the way, we're not on the same time zone, so I'm hoping that they're laying in bed and their phone is dinging off the hook because of Messenger, reminding them that the East Coast is calling and would appreciate it if they didn't reach out to us at 2 a.m. What? It's not just Wendy. It's not just Wendy. It's everybody. Everybody in comics is on the West Coast. They're all in Phoenix.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
loaded with them. So...
And add zero. Goose egg.
I know, right?
Nada. That's right.
How is that even possible?
Because we're fixing issues. That's why. And so I had to make it a point to make sure your show had 0 freeze ups.
Because you would have never heard the end of it.
I'll still never hear the end of it. What are you talking about?
So nobody's downstairs streaming on your TV. That's why.
No, see, so the way you fix it is you join your own show.
Oh, okay.
So I'm right now I'm broadcasting from the PC, and I invited myself on my phone, and so like I could turn my PC off right now, and we would still be able to talk to each other. You know, the same way that Phil got kicked off his own shows, and you guys kept going on, and he never came back.
So as long as your phone's working, you're good.
Yeah, as long as your phone works, you're good. I mean,
that's
the
cool.
person
And your
that's
phone
hosting doesn't have to be there.
And your phone is going to be better than your PC any day of the week.
Oh,
that makes sense.
Day of the week.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, too, is, you know, it's good for, you know, like you and other people that are on the panel is if something happens to me, it doesn't just kick everybody off. So if you're in the middle of explaining something and you got 100 people watching and they're like, I'm really interested in this, and all of a sudden everybody's gone.
Right.
You know,
I got
it's
you.
nice to know that if the host disappears, then you can't. Not everybody does.
And you can also come right back in.
Exactly. I can come right back in.
Who's
it froze up.
Go ahead.
It's froze up twice since we've been on here, and I'm not even doing anything on my computer right now. And I'm like, why?
Yeah. So what is Ed talking about? A Joker sketch cover? Are you getting a Joker sketch cover from him?
So
are you getting a Joker cover from Ed?
No. So.
Oh, okay.
So first off, Phil, because I have like 8 stings right here from a wasp down my back, and I've been driving all day and in a work shirt that's been rubbing up against it. So I'm like, I'm not wearing a covering shirt. I got a shirt on at least. I can't say that much about pants.
Right.
So no. So Ed, no and yes. That's the easiest way to describe it. So Ed is going to do a live show piece. So he sent me a message the other day. I've been meaning to post it online and you know, ask about, you know, who was going to be interested in watching Ed ink this. So he has the Joker piece that's already got the preliminary sketch on it that he's going to ink live whenever he gets, you know, some practice in and gets his setup down.
Gotcha.
To be able to have everything ready to go when he gets on. And so that's what he's going to do.
But a question. Okay, Russ, if you were drawing for a live show, right, would you ink? And maybe he's really comfortable with inking, but you know what I mean? Like, because ink is tricky. Because you can't make any mistakes with it. You know what I mean? Like, I would think if you're doing a live show and trying to talk to people, it's probably the last thing I would want to do. You know what I mean? I would think you'd want to sketch more. Just because if you mess up, you hit it with the eraser, but no big deal. Show goes on because you get distracted talking to people and stuff like that. So that'll be interesting. I mean, I want to see him ink it because it shows up better on camera. And it's a lot more interesting for me to watch. But I'm always amazed, like when CV does it too. I'm just like, I would be worried to get distracted so easily from the conversation and the chat and everything else that I'd screw up an ink line. And then you're doomed.
Well,
I lost Russell's audio. Let me know if you did, huh? Okay.
Sorry, my alarm on my phone went off.
Okay. Yeah, so, you just lost a little. You lost a little audio for a second there. That's all.
So let's talk about CB. You know, he's got big cojones. I mean, what person colors with the big boy fat Sharpie marker? Like, I cringe every time he gets it out. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh my god, he's doing fine lines, and he's got like this giant chisel tip freaking Sharpie marker, and he's just like.
Yep.
I'm like, oh man, any minute now it's gonna go outside the line.
It's gonna go sliding off to the side. Yep. I agree. I watch him. I get nervous too. I get nervous watching him. But Lewis is right. He's got mad ink skills. He really does. He has mad ink skills.
Yeah, and so I mean, there's a lot of artists that like to do the sketch on the side because it takes them several hours to do the preliminary sketch. But they can
I get the roughing it out. Yeah, I guess if what you do is ink lines, you got to do the ink lines unless you're going to do a rough.
Yeah.
For me, that's the difference. I do a rough and then I do the lines, and the lines are also in pencil, so it kind of works. So
yeah, it works easy for you because either way you can still erase it. But
and I
hey,
just
you know,
like
it's a step.
I'd like my show to be a little bit more you, me, Carrie, everybody talking, and a little less about, you know what I mean? Because I just always figured I enjoy seeing other artists work because I can learn from what they're doing. But if you're not an artist, watching it come together is fun, but how it comes together is not quite as exciting. So I always felt if we just hung out and everybody hung out and talked about what was going on, or joked about or kidded about what they wanted to talk about, that would just make it more fun 2 hours than me sitting there drawing and showing you what I'm doing kind of thing and explaining why I'm doing it. Like, it's great if somebody's tuning in and learning from me, but the drawing part of it is really just there to bring us all together in my book. So
Yeah, and with Ed, one of the things that I tossed the idea at him was, if you wanted to, we can do it live on StreamYard like we're doing now, and I can drop me out and put him full screen, and I can just moderate the comments and leave my audio on and just be like, oh, hey, Eve says, and Steph says,
right,
to make it a little easier. Because I mean, like Carrie, she reads the comments and stuff for you, so you can stay drawing and you can conversate without having to take your attention away from the piece. So I thought it might be a good idea for, him if he wanted to concentrate on inking, if
right. we
we could go live through StreamYard on whatever page he wants to go on, and then he can do his part and I'll moderate.
Yeah, no, and it was a huge difference at first. Carrie was just tuning in to make sure that the show went well or whatever. That was the plan. But as soon as we sat across from each other at the table, we're going to start talking. Things are going to happen. I had to sharpen my pencils for the first show. Funny things happen for me and Carrie to interact with. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. That way now, it's a little bit more dialogue-y. So yeah, like if you could if he wants to concentrate on the drawing, then you could read the comments to him and he can respond to the comments that you're, picking up from the group.
Yeah, only I'll do a better job than Carrie. I won't miss a whole bunch of them.
Wow. No, it's me missing him, and then I complain.
Oh, I know. I'm just giving her a hard time. You missed
Does
a line.
Eve work at Hot Topic, or does she just hang out there all the time? I know Russell slammed you.
No.
So does Eve work at Hot Topic, or is she just hanging out there?
I don't know. I think
I'm assuming
I've seen
she
her
works there.
pictures of her with a Hot Topic outfit on, so I think she does work there.
She does actually work there. Gotcha. What does Hot Topic sell nowadays?
Pretty much
still?
the same. Yeah, it's still clothes and stuff like that, but they also sell pops now too. They have a ginormous wall of Funko Pops, huge.
So it's still trendy stuff. Is that the plan?
Yeah, it's mainly whatever's trending at that time, and then you got the goth clothes and stuff like that. They still carry a lot of that.
So they have hacky sacks and things like that.
I'm pretty sure. I've never been in one.
Sacks. I'm just kidding. I know hacky sacks aren't in anymore.
Hey, you know what? They're so cool. I wouldn't make fun of you. Everybody loves hacky sack.
Scott says he's pretty sure she works there. What do you mean pretty sure, Scott? You've been stalking her. Scott stalks me online on every show I'm on. Scott's there. She didn't leave. She said she was going to take a shower. She didn't even leave. She came on to explain that she works there. She's junior manager or something. Part-time emo. Crappy, edgy clothes, pops, anime, and TV shows. Wow, sounds like a store I would never need to go into.
Exactly.
That is definitely a store I never need to go into. Don't get me wrong. I love anime figures. Wait, you can see. Wait, I'm going to turn the camera. Don't even make it sick. I don't know if you can see. I do have one case next to Carrie. Hi, Carrie. There's that one case next to Carrie, that glass case. That's got some anime style figures or whatever. I love the style, but I would never watch like anime shows. I would never read like the books or anything like that. I mean, first of all, in the books, the art's not that great. And the shows are horrendous. So, I mean, I know people get into it because people get into any kind of story kind of thing like that and that particular story form. But to me, I'm just like, I watch them yelling at each other and I'm just like, oh God, I can't believe tonight's Toonami night on Adult Swim, And I immediately switch it off. So Now, what's she saying now? I hope she's not defending anime. Oh, okay. There's no practice, Ed. Just go live and have fun. If it doesn't freeze up on you, it's a bonus. If it does, it's typical. CB Zane knocks his microphone over once or twice, and he has to hear about it every time now. Russell is freeze frame. He's got a superhero name now. I don't finish my lines, and I complain about comments. Just go live and have some fun with it. Funny, stupid stuff will happen. It won't be perfect, but nobody wants to see perfect. It's not a TV show. It's a live show. You know, I mean, look at David Fott. We look at his kitchen lights on there. You know, it's going to happen. It's just things that happen. You know, I noticed his bed. He's drawing on his bed. Can you tell me what he was doing? How he was doing that? Did he just have the sketchbook laying on his mattress? Sunday. On his little.
You know what
Sunday?
It is, right? You say there's no sleep in comics, so he's putting his comics to sleep.
Apparently. It's so funny because out of the corner of the screen, you can see David Fott's beautiful drafting table. And meanwhile, I'm looking at the corner of a Serta mattress, and that's what he's drawing on. He's apparently sitting on his bed drawing. I'm like, at least I admitted I draw on a towel at the kitchen table, so it's no huge surprise, you know? But I was just like, I was dying when I saw David drawing on his bed. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? So that's a live show. That's the fun of a live show.
Your show, perfect. Yeah, okay, Mr. Invisa host.
Mine is never perfect. Oh, Phil?
No, I'm talking about Phil. He says he guesses his show is perfect.
I think Phil's been off of his, knocked off of his show more times than he's on his show.
Oh, for sure. Like he the only host that never shows up to his own show, you know?
Because I love what he does. It's hysterical what he does. He's got that Star Trek Enterprise command chair, you know? It's like brown leather, 90s. I'm thinking unclaimed freight store. So he's got this brown leather Enterprise chair, like, you know, and I'm sure there's about 5 monitors in front of him, or at least one monitor and a couple pieces of cardboard to look like other monitors. And he's slightly in the shadow, very dramatically. You ever notice that? There's a lot of shadow about him, you know, like drama. And then he kind of looms in out of the light to say something, you know, really.
Yeah.
And then he zips. Well, then he leans back. You know, I feel like it's inside the actor's studio. Do you remember that show on like PBS where that guy with that really crazy accent used to interview actors? It's just that kind of drama. So I love his show, but I'm just like, holy crap on the drama element. It's so composed.
Well, you know why he hides in the shadow, don't you?
Why is
he
that?
Spends all that time waxing his.
Did you see the hat? The picture with the hat and the rose-colored glasses, though, came out very well. Came out very nice. Yeah. I think that's his Tinder pic. Is that his Tinder picture or something? Is that
I don't know,
Tinder
but did Wilson ever get his collar back?
What is he saying? He's not going to keep the chair? The chair is classic. You got to keep the chair, Phil. Phil just said something about his chair that he's not going to keep his chair. Oh, he's not going to have the chair when he moves.
Yeah, when he moves, he's got to leave the chair behind, unfortunately.
Oh, with that Spanish brown leather. I don't know. Got to keep that. Or fake Spanish brown leather. Now, I love your show, Phil. I like that it's in the dark. It's a good late night show because it feels like it's late night, you know? It's like Letterman. Letterman always felt like a later show than Carson.
So I know you said it at the beginning of the show, but
don't quote me.
Oh, sorry. Ed was commenting. He said, Steph, you work pretty fast and you're able to hold a conversation at the same time.
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing for me. I guess what it really boils down to, Russ, is the easiest way to explain it is I would imagine if you've ever tried to draw a Snoopy or any of the Peanuts characters, it's impossible. It really is. Like it you know, every little thing you could do doesn't look like whatever character. And I was kind of saying that on my last show. But I'm sure for Charles Schultz, it went really quick. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure Charles Schultz could draw Snoopy in 2 seconds. So that's the cool thing with my drawing show. I'm not going to draw your Xenon Titan Finding Nemo Titan on my drawing show because it's different and I have to concentrate, you know? But if I'm drawing one of my girls, like the Lady Death I drew the other day, then I definitely can do it on my show, and I can do it fast because I do it a lot.
What's going on, Mike?
Why
Yeah,
would
and I
talking
totally
be an
understand
issue,
that.
Ed? Talking is not an issue. Is Ed shy? Is that what it is, Russell?
I don't know. See, you got to be
You
like
like
me and
talking, but not everybody likes talking.
yeah. Well, and so like I just don't care what other people think. To be honest, like I was really hoping that this Bob Ross wig was going to be here by today because I was going to totally wear it.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Afro.
Yeah.
I was going to have this huge afro, and I was going to draw little trees to put with your circles.
Right.
You know, I thought it'd be hilarious, but I didn't get it in the mail, and I was totally upset. That was like, you know, on Unscripted when I came back on the camera with the Hulk hands and the mask on.
Right.
But, you know, I like being stupid. My wife's just like, oh my God. She's like, why do you do stuff like that? I'm like, because it's funny. If I laugh at it and nobody else laughs, I don't care. You know what?
Exactly.
I laughed and it made my day.
I agree. I totally agree. When I was writing the fake book reviews for your book, that post today, right? Where Bed Bath & Beyond with definitely makes a coaster available on. Dude, I was dying laughing when I was typing that because it was hilarious to me. And I knew it was busting your chops, and I was hoping somebody else would find them. But that's exactly what live shows are about. When I go back and watch Carrie, I always go back and watch the live show Carrie and I did in its entirety to see if there, see if we were in a good mood, make sure we were having fun, make sure other people were having fun in the comments and stuff like that. And when I go back and watch it, it's the stupid stuff that made it worth watching the show. The funniest things come out of the chats you guys get into over, whatever it is we're talking about. You know, that one night, I forget what it was we were talking about. And when I go back and watch the show, 10 minutes of that show is taken up by chat. You guys chatting about that subject. And it's like, who even cared if I was drawing? I could have walked out of the room. You guys didn't care. It was this stream of comment. You guys just talking to each other. If I wasn't even there, you wouldn't have even noticed. So I was like,
don't forget all the gifts. You know,
so that's the part of that's what's great about a live show. Just let it go. Don't overthink it. It's not going to be perfect. Go.
Well, and it's like the first show that I went on live when I went on with Phil. I was kind of nervous about it. And I was like, you know what? Why should I care on here when I don't care in real life? Because, I'll be the center of attention and just act totally like a clown just because I like to have fun. And if people make fun of me for it, I don't care. Because you know what? At least I made an impression that they'll never forget.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like what Johnny Depp says. But you have heard of me. And that's all that matters in the end is that, as long as you're not offending anybody and you're not upsetting anybody and you're having a good time, other people are going to have a good time too. That's all. Yeah. I just think don't let Ed overthink this, man. Just talk him into do it and get it over with,
I'm trying. I keep telling him, but.
Hey, Mike joined us. Is that Mike? Mike Wazlowski?
Mike Wazlowski.
South Jersey, dude. He's South Jersey. South Jersey? No, he's North Jersey. Oh, crap. I forget where Mike's from. Where's Mike from? North Jersey or South Jersey? Mike, tell me where you're from, man. Let's go. Okay, he is South Jersey, right? Maybe South Jersey. Oh, did we lose audio? No. Okay.
No, we didn't lose audio. I was just reading the comments and you were talking.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, I mean, so I'll try not to let them overthink it. I've been telling them, you just got to do it.
Have fun. You should have fun doing it. That's the whole point of doing it.
Well, see, the problem why I was nervous, Phil, about being on your show is it wasn't so much being on your show. It's the fact that, so like, kind of like a text message. So if you text something to somebody, it's hard to send it in the voice that you're saying it. If you catch my drift.
Yep.
So like sometimes comments don't always come across right and you make somebody mad. Well, if somebody jumps in the video and like skips through it and lands on a part and hears something that you say and they take it the wrong way, that's what worries me. It's like, I like to joke around and crack jokes and I don't ever want to hurt anybody's feelings and them to be upset with me about it. And so like I get nervous about being on there. It's like, because at least when I'm on there commenting and stuff, and
you can control it. Exactly.
You can control it.
No, I get what you're saying. But yeah, the thing is, what you got to tell Ed is, and I learned this the hard way. Like, some of the first shows that I saw were Jesse, Jesse Witchman shows. I might have seen. I saw Nay Rufino's show, and maybe CB Zane once or twice. And I thought I had to go on and sell comics, then draw. I thought there was a format, and once I realized there's no format, like do whatever you want to do for the time that you're doing it, and that's why people are going to tune in. So I have a bunch of comps now that I didn't have when I first started doing the shows, but I'm still saving those for conventions. I'm not really a sales show unless it's a special sale, like those little sketch cards or something like that. Uh, I'm not a huge sales show, so I just get on there, draw something for somebody. We do the you can draw a segment at the end, and through the show we're just going to talk. That's all. I mean, it's just that's the way my show is going to be. So Ed, you can do it any way you want, man. There's no format.
Is Phil not the most confused individual you've ever met in your life? He goes from calling himself Demon Phil, and now he's a god. I mean, you can't be a god and a demon, Phil. You got to stick with one.
Here's my question. Now, you are officially the superhero known as Freeze Frame, because you don't get to pick your nickname. So, why is he Demon Phil? Because I need to know who called him that. You can't just adopt a nickname. You have to be given it. That's the whole point of nicknames. So you are definitely the superhero Freeze Frame because you got stuck with that. There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it's actually kind of cool. It would be actually be kind of a cool book, comic book, Freeze Frame.
Hey,
like you can freeze time, huh?
Yeah.
Like
and there's already a theme song, Freeze Frame. So
yeah, but he could imagine a superhero who could freeze like small blocks of time. Oh, that'd be cool. But anyway, so who called Demon Phil for the first time? That's what I want to know. Well, his origin story.
Well, he had the origin story on script. I don't remember if it was unscripted or if it was on one of his weeknight shows.
See,
but
he says there's a story behind his name. Yeah, and it's tricky to. Again, that's why Carrie reads half of the comments more than half of the comments to me. Because if I keep looking over for the comments, I have to keep tapping on the screen to make them pop up. They pop up for 5 seconds and they disappear.
And then they're gone again. Yeah.
And then they're gone again. And they just fade out. It's annoying as hell because you have to keep tapping the screen to make them stay live. Like I wish the comments would stay live. She tried turning the computer around. They stay up longer on the side on the laptop, but then you're reading a computer screen the entire show, and that doesn't work either. So it's kind of a mix kind of thing.
So see, Ed, this is where this comes in handy. If you would...
There it is. Get yourself a Carrie Ann. Or a Russ.
Exactly. See, you can still hear stuff right now. You go live with me. I put you full screen like this, only you can turn your phone the other way to where you have the full
big screen. Right.
Exactly. And then you can still hear stuff in the background, and Stef can sit there and
I can say, oh, Ed Williams says I want to make sure to be able to keep responding to people's questions. Oh, and I can say, and I cannot believe so few have asked. See that? Look at how easy that is.
All right, we gotta stop picking on Ed. We're gonna hurt his feelings.
I'm not picking on him. I want him to do a joke because it's the same thing with Ruben. All right, so. Everybody have fun with me and Ruben today. So people I just want to make sure people know I absolutely love Ruben and I love his work. And I think his work needs more attention than it gets on social media because he's not on social media as much and not as comfortable, and crazy as I am. He doesn't cut loose like I do.
Well, I never heard of him until that night that you were talking about everybody go and ask Ruben for Red Monica.
Right. And I totally, freaked the two of them out. And Simeon's adorable. And I totally freaked the two of them out because people started messaging him like crazy. And that's the thing is, his work is phenomenal and it needs more attention. So any chance I can drag him out, into the comments and with a little joking around. So I just want everybody to know, I absolutely love and adore Ruben. I love his work. His work is phenomenal. I love him and Simeon and Scarlett, their little girl. So I'm never actually, fighting with Ruben. We're just picking on each other to, give each other a little attention.
Just like us yesterday and today about the show tonight.
Oh yeah. Anybody tune in, they think we hate each other, man.
Well, and that's the same way that I feel about Ed. Ed does great work, and he doesn't have a whole lot of people that follow his work, and that's why I'm like, hey, let's that's kind of what sparked the whole thing with bringing all you guys on here that have done
Right.
a piece for the book.
Right.
Is your friends know you, my friends know me,
Right.
but do your friends know me, and do my
I agree.
friends know you?
I agree.
And
I agree.
so
It's
it
sharing.
doesn't just benefit. Yeah, it's sharing. We're sharing friends right now. We're meeting people, and then
Exactly.
we're meeting the people behind the comment bashers that's been going back and forth all
Right.
week.
Right. You know, I read a great thing. I've seen it a couple times on Facebook. When you trip and it was about tripping and falling. If you trip and fall, a friend will ask if you're all right. A good friend will help you up, but a really great friend will say, "Do you walk much?"
Yep.
Because you get to that point on friendship where you don't have to be considerate. It's more important to be funny at that point to validate your friendship. You know, if you can
Yeah.
zing somebody really good, then you know them. You know enough about them to know that's a good one to get them with. You know, so
Hey, Ruben. But
is Ruben
yeah,
here?
I mean,
Yay,
yeah,
Ruben's here.
yeah. So I mean, and that's the thing. You got to rip on each other, because if you didn't, neither one. It's kind of a way to, I don't know, better each other, I guess you could say.
Of course. And you know what? Here's the big thing for me, Russell. For me, the big thing is if you haven't noticed, especially on social media, don't take yourself too seriously. You know what I mean? I mean, let's
Yeah.
face it. In the world of everything, I'm an artist. I'm certainly not the best artist. And in the end, I'm a comic artist. So I'm not really in a position to take myself too seriously as far as, in other words, what I'm doing, I enjoy and I hope other people enjoy it. But let's not pretend that, I'm solving world peace or anything like that. So I can take things a little tongue in cheek. I can have a little bit of fun with people
Hey,
because
Radar.
in the end, this is an enjoyable thing or it's not worth doing, you know?
Well, and the other thing is too is for people like Ruben, or not saying that he's a new artist, or he's new, but being new to the social media thing and getting more involved in it, you got to learn to form a thick skin.
Yeah.
If you can't tolerate your friends making jabs at you, you
Yep.
can't tolerate the trolls, and
Right.
it'll eat you alive.
And that's what I was worried about. I was worried that people would see me and Ruben picking on each other and think that we were being mean to each other, but we weren't. And because Ruben is the biggest jokester that's out there. He's hilarious. That's the other part of it. People need to see more of Ruben because he's freaking hysterical in his posts and his comments and stuff like that. Oh, he is hilarious. So I just like him being out there, and I love joking around with him because then he ends up on my comment feed and he ends up picking on me, and it's really cool. So.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just like, you with the whole, Bed Bath and Beyond and Allentown reviews, and,
It was fun to be creative. But yeah, I realized, holy crap, I've been picking on you for like 2 days because of this show. I was like, holy crap, I hope people don't think I'm being mean. So that's why
well,
I put that thing up about boobs and Wendy tonight to throw everybody off of the Russell and Ruben.
throw everybody
It was
off
turning
the
into the
trail.
Russell and Ruben show.
Yeah.
It was funny because I
so-
was doing that logo for her, and she just sent that message. She messaged back. She says, "Yeah, could we make the boobs a little bit more normal size?" And she said a bunch of other things. It was like a paragraph coming back because we were discussing the formatting of the logo and stuff. And it was just so funny because when I posted that today, I sent her a message. I said, "You didn't think I was going to let that slide, did you?" I mean, I know it was one of like 400 comments her and I exchanged about designing this logo. But when she said normal size boobs, I'm like, it's almost like I mentally wrote that down. Oh, I'm going to use that again. That's going to come back and bite her.
Well, and see, I've been teasing her too, because I sent her the excerpt that I sent you, and
Right.
So she read it, and so like a couple of days went by, and we were talking about something, and she said, "Yeah, you really need to get that book in some people's hands so they can review it." And I said, "You're really trying hard to get the full version, aren't you?"
I can see it. You know why? Because it's like with her Kickstarters. She can't wait to get this stuff to people. Like, she can't wait. She sees the books come in, the Kickstarter books, and they never look as good on video. So she sees the comics come in, the stickers and the badges and everything else like that, and she can't wait, literally can't wait to get it to people because she wants them to see how it is. She has no patience. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing. She read the 3 chapters. She wants chapter 4 now, not later, now. She wants you guys to see that Kickstarter stuff as soon as she does it, Like, she has no patience for that stuff. She loves sharing things like that. So I can see that. You're driving her nuts.
And well, it's good to have that too, I mean, because it shows how passionate she is about her work and about your guys' work and trying to get it out there.
Yeah.
So, but you can't beat yourself up either trying to get everything out too quickly.
No, it's, and the worst part about it is you see these guys doing it. Like, Lewis is doing it now. It's like a one-person job. You know what I mean? Like, somebody might help you pack the stuff up and stuff, but you can't really delegate it out because then you lose track of who's getting what and what backer number you're on and stuff like that, So.
Who's this Jesse Witchman guy? I think he kind of fell off the face of the earth, got abducted by aliens.
I think he's an artist of some sort. I'm not sure. I'm not sure a big artist, but
I don't know either.
You know what it is?
I wonder.
No, he's doing like all these lady deaths now. He's like the lady death artist. So he doesn't have time to come on.
I figured out what it is, Steph. I know what it is.
What?
He had to be the first person to take books, BDI books, to the North Pole.
Yeah.
And Tom mentioned that he needed somebody to take BDI books to space. He must be in space.
Right. He must be in space. You're right. Exactly. He's on the space station right now.
He's on the space station right now. No internet, so he's not doing any live shows.
Like the moon landing pictures, the pictures of Jesse in the pool this weekend were actually fake.
They're fake.
They're fake.
Probably fake. Either that or they put a moon room in, and they got a hot tub in there.
Right. Or it's a backdrop, right? It's a backdrop right on the lunar shuttle.
Yeah. Yep. He's busy.
No, I miss Jesse being on his shows. You know why? Because I first started watching Jesse's shows, and it was cool because he originally he'd tell you stories about how Zenoscope discovered him and things like that, and convention stories. And that's the real interesting part for me. For a lot of times, is the artists have stories that I haven't encountered yet. I mean, I had one convention before the pandemic hit. So I've only done one show. So being able to hear artist stories from shows lets me know kind of what's going to happen and what I'm going to get into. You know what I mean? And so I love Jesse's shows because he told a lot about what he did, how he came up, what he's done in conventions and stuff. It was a good show. It was one of my favorites. So, and I think he's just really busy with Lady Death and everything lately that he just hasn't had the time for a show. And we miss him.
So anyway,
you're never going to get a Lady Death cover. Huh? Go ahead.
Well, let's talk a little bit about you. We talked about, my book and your piece for the book, but, let's talk a little bit about you. I know you've said before, like Bill McKay is one of your, inspirations in art that you learned a few things from, but, let's there's a lot of people that may be watching or that'll watch this back that really don't know.
My origin stories? You want my origin?
Yeah, your origin stories. Let's hear about your origin story.
Basically, I was doing
first when Stef was a little boy, he got a spirograph.
There you go. The end. No, actually, I never had the spirograph. I used some of my friend's spirograph, but I never had the spirograph. My mom was my mom was German, and she didn't buy every trendy toy. She only bought toys after they had established themselves for a while. And I think spirograph was a kind of a short trend. It was around forever, but it was only cool, like really cool for a while. And then people realized all it did was make spirals. And so then it became one of those toys that went in the back of the closet. So I never got those back of the closet toys because they were always trendy. So, no, my mom believed in drawing right from an early age. She taught us how to draw. And whenever we were bored or whatever, she was German. We weren't allowed to be bored. So then we had to draw pictures or whatever. So I always knew how to draw. And then I went off to college and I got a job and I got a career. And I just kind of enjoyed drawing a young warthog. Why would I be a warthog? God, I got to pay attention to these comments. Where's Carrie when you need her? So I always knew how to draw. the basics of drawing. And then I had a career, and I think, I got rid of all my Dungeons and Dragons stuff that I'd been hauling around since I was a kid. So I put it all up on eBay and sold it. And as I was selling all this stuff on eBay and making a ton of money off of it, because apparently Dungeons and Dragons in, I guess, 2000, a little after 2000, those editions were very popular and stuff. So I sold off all my Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. Anyway, long story short, so here I am with an eBay account that's making tons of money, and I don't have anything left. And Carrie says, why don't you sell some of your sketches? Because I could always sketch I actually drew a Medusa for my first sketch, put it on eBay, and it sold. And that was way back, 2000 something. So I just started selling drawings on eBay, and obviously girl drawings, and sold better than other drawings. So I did more of those, and actually started with a realistic style, and because that's what I knew. And then it became more cartoony as I ran out of time. In other words, my stuff started selling faster and faster and faster. I wasn't doing auctions. I was doing just buy it now. It was like, throw it up there, $60, buy it now, gone. So I was drawing faster and faster, and I developed a more cartoony style. So that all worked up until a year ago. A year ago in December, Carrie made me put up a website. Told me to stop futzing around with this career I was doing. If I was going to make money drawing, then let's go ahead and do it. So I just set up a website, was selling my drawings on the website, and then Facebook took off. And then Ron Zabala asked me for a cover, didn't publish it. Joe Massimo asked me for a retailer variant cover, published it. Wendy asked me for a cover, published it, and then everything else you guys pretty much know. So that's my origin story. Kind of boring, actually. You know?
No.
It'd be cool if like lightning struck me and I suddenly discovered how I could draw, or that like I have a really, really, really hot co-host who just brought me soda because she knows I'm probably out of soda right now. She just walked away. Why'd you walk away, honey? So and she brought me more ice. Look at that. Ed, your co-host should bring you ice to refresh your drink during the show. So if Russell doesn't bring you ice, don't do a show with him.
By the time it gets to him, the way the postal system is, it'll be melted. He'll have water.
Where's that at? Carolinas?
Ed's in North Carolina.
North Carolina.
And I'm in Missouri.
There she is. Sexy co-host. Yeah, Ed, if you can get a sexy co-host instead of Russell, that's a plus too. Because people turn in for the babes. So, it's just like covers. People want the babes. Yeah, see, bit by a radioactive pencil? What did he say? Was it Mike? So hard to keep comments on the screen. A radioactive French curve. Yes. Mike pays attention to my show. I need new French curves. They got dings in them. Drive me bonker. But
so
go ahead.
So who's one of your favorite artists? Like what are your favorite artists out there?
Okay. So obviously,
besides Ruben Rosas and your bromance you got going on.
I didn't always know Ruben, so you got to remember that. So you got to keep that in mind. In other words, here's what happened. I don't know anything about comics, zero, basically. I used to walk into a comic book store near me because I loved the art. The Lorenzo Sperlanga cover that was on Wendy's last Kickstarter, the girl hanging in the barbed wire. I remember that art book on the shelf because I bought it. That art book on the shelf of my comic book store. My comic book store had one entire wall devoted to art graphic novels, all kinds of artist works. And that's the stuff I always loved. So I always loved graphic novels, big graphic novels like that, and art books. And so somebody like Lorenzo Sperlanga, some of those artists from that time, Jay Anacleto, stuff like that. Those are the artists that I kind of like introduced myself to through those books. But I would say the first comic book artist that I really fell in love with their work would probably be Bill McKay. And you can see my style is very similar, and my style over time has evolved more into something like his style, than realism, say. So I definitely have always appreciated his work. And the great thing about Bill McKay's work is that if you look at a cover right now, it is dramatically different. You may not think so, but if you pay attention, it's dramatically different to something he was doing 3 years ago. The little detail works that have changed. And so anyway, he's really cool. I love everything that he does. Jesse Witchman is fantastic. I mean, I wish I could draw that elegant. He's just got amazing detail work that I'm just not at that level to be able to do those kind of fine details, with the style that I do right now. And then Ruben recently, I didn't know Ruben before this year. So some of these artists I just had never seen before. But in my past, definitely Michael Turner, Silvestri, anybody who worked at Top Cow. If you worked at Top Cow and did covers for like Witchblade or Witchblade or Tomb Raider, I knew who you were as an artist then, and that's who inspired me.
Yeah, and you went through the same process as well. Like, your eyes is something that you've changed over time. And that's something that as an artist you have to do is evolve and try to, better yourself. You can't just keep drawing the same, or before too long, everybody has the same old laying in their closet and their drawer or on the wall. You gotta have something fresh to keep to keep people coming back.
Well, yeah, because people may not know it, but they're looking for a progression. They're looking for a change. They want to see your style develop. If it's exactly the same every time, it won't appeal to them anymore. Like, I mean, I absolutely adore Ebass, and I'm absolutely floored that I have conversations and chats and stuff like that with Ebass. Like, I'm still nobody. You know what I mean? But the guy's very talkable. But if you look at his work, you can see it changing throughout the years, So, and that's what I love about any kind of artist like that. If you really look at their work, you didn't exist before. Forget about it. Ruben was a mega celebrity artist long before me.
I had to go back to this one though. This cracks me up. He's saying this about the guy that has the most whited and blotted out spots on his art that's posted, but it's clean.
Who's that?
Ed. He said your work is so clean.
Oh, you know what it is?
Josh has the right idea. This is what Josh said. He has the right idea. His filthy lines have gotten filthier.
Yes. Yeah, and that's like with Bill McKay. He's always done a really good job with mouth. You can see how his teeth, just the teeth, one little thing has improved or gotten more dramatic. Let's not say improved, because he's always had the skill. But he's made it more of a dramatic element. It's a very subtle element, but it enhances the drawing. Huh? I was obsessed with Bill McKay's eyes before this. So Carrie's making fun of me because I'm obsessed with Bill McKay. There's no secret about that. That's another guy who isn't hugely all over social media and deserves way more social. In other words, if you go to a con, that guy gets mobbed. Bill McKay gets mobbed at cons because people love him. He should have that same amount of attention on social media, but it's not his thing. And I always feel bad about that, Like some artists just don't do as well on social media. It's not their thing, But no.
What about these clean lines?
Huh?
What about these clean lines, Ed?
That's Ed's, right? Yeah,
That's
I've always been accused of doing clean lines. Carrie will tell you they're not that clean. That's because I'm using a 2.5 Ticonderoga, for Christ's sake. How clean can they be? But it's just because I use so few of them. I mean, now that's a busy drawing. That's what I call page fill. The one I did for you is what I call page fill. That's extra. I charge extra for those because they're page fill.
You charge extra for feathers, red, backgrounds,
feathers,
monorails,
backgrounds, Xenon Titan suits.
Xenon Titan suits.
No, Mike is right. See, he's right. Mike is saying that Bill is fantastic to talk to at a con. He is. I wish he would come online since there's no cons right now, so people could see him and talk to him. But everybody's got their thing that they want to do. Yeah, and that's something I always feel bad about when I'm doing my drawing shows. I'm not afraid. I'm afraid that when you get so far into a style, we lost Russell. I think we lost Russell.
No, you didn't lose me.
There we go. I'm always afraid when you
No, I
get
was
so
trying to
far.
load. I was trying to load in another picture. I'm gonna go get a soda.
Oh, okay. So I'll just take over for now as the co-host. Welcome to the Russell Allen Show, late night. I could talk about him, but
I
he's
was gonna
back.
put a piece of art up on my side.
That would
and
make
he
sense.
Freaked out, so I was like, I better come back before they think that I froze up.
Right. You could have put a little like "will return in 5 minutes" sign on your little side there.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So anyway, one of the coolest
Here
things.
we go.
One of the.
Here we go.
Who's starting on us? Oh, with the title, yeah. The marketing department wanted to talk to you about that. No flames, Mike. No flames. No monorails. No feathers. No water droplets. Yeah, I know. He's like the coolest guy, right, John? Sorry,
Well,
we're
then you
talking
got
about
this
Bell.
guy here. He's
Xenon
already got
Titan.
ideas.
See that? I like that.
Xenon Nano tits.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, not for nothing, Russell. Just just between you and me, nobody in the audience. Could have been a girl in a sexy nano tight suit that kind of flies off her at the right moments. Just saying, marketing.
Hey, you know what? They did it with Captain Marvel. Why can't it happen?
Exactly.
Down the road,
The second
never
story.
know. Reboot.
I'm thinking a Patriotica size girl. You know what I'm saying? With a little extra.
Yeah, with she loses some armoring in the upper area.
Exactly. Of course, they always do.
Or she could always puff them up and then
There
launch
you
the
go.
nanites
Expands
out
it, and the nanites just come flying off because they can't take the pressure.
Like buttons on a blouse. I mean, that would be pretty exciting.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, and that's something that would be really cool too. Eventually, is if you did start doing cons. I mean, like you were talking about, Bill McKay's really awesome to meet at cons. That would be awesome idea. So down the road, if you do, say an East Coast con or something in the future. Of course, not this year because everything's canceled. But I'm sure there'd be people lined up to get their books signed and to meet you in person.
It'll be cool because by the time because the show I did in January was a little small show up in North Jersey, and not a big attendance. We wanted to do a small one day. It was a 1 day show. We wanted to just do a small 1 day show to get a feel for it because we'd never done a con before. The other shows we were going to do was a Philadelphia 3 day show, which got canceled, and Baltimore. And we figured by Baltimore we'd be a little bit more. We'd know what we're up against when it comes to doing a con because I know they're not easy to do. I know they take a lot out of you and everything else like that. So I was kind of hoping to do Baltimore. And what's weird is we were planning that, and January came along and everything else, and like my work exploded even more. So now, like if we were actually going to go to Baltimore, it might actually been fun because people might have actually known who I was at the show. You know what I mean? Like not everybody. But like when we did that North Jersey show, I think 3 people knew who I was that came to that show because they were semi-local. And everybody else you had to kind of introduce. But it'd be kind of cool to do a con where like some people actually know who you are before they come to your booth. So we were really kind of excited about Baltimore, be the show that it was going to be. And then when things started taking off, I'm like, of course there's a pandemic. Of course I could go to Baltimore and have a lot of fun. Nope, there's got to be a pandemic. Who met me in the wild? Who's talking now? Who's talking to
Phil?
Said, oh yeah,
Phil said that.
Yeah, we saw Phil at a little show that he was doing. We were on our way to Atlantic City. Actually, we stopped in and what was cool about that was we met Phil. Had a great time talking to Phil, and he introduced us to Alton for Vampires of New Jersey, the creator of Vampires of New Jersey. So it was just that's the whole part of comics that I like. Don't tell anybody. It's all these people are connected together, and they're the nicest people in the freaking world. I swear, the people in comics are the nicest people in the world, and it's like a secret. They're not letting anybody else know. People the world over are going, oh, look at those nerds, with their conventions and stuff. I think it's a secret society, like the Illuminati, of really cool people who don't want anybody else, like don't want any mean people to get in, so they don't broadcast that they're all this nice. But
see, they're all nice except for the people behind this guy at your first con, because I'm sure he has about 700 of your covers that he's going to want signed, and everybody behind him is going to have to like wait until the next day to be able to get anything signed. I mean, let's just be honest.
But seriously, people like you, people like Wendy, people like Phil, people like Lewis. The amazing thing is, no matter who I meet next, they're just as cool. And I don't understand how that's possible. Because think about it, you go to high school, not every kid is cool. A lot of the kids are asses, total asses in high school, right?
Yep.
So here,
Totally.
I meet Wendy, who's a publisher, right? Then I meet Lewis. Then I meet Jim. Then I meet this one. I meet Tom. I meet everyone I meet. How can everyone I meet be cool? And it's the same thing with the artists. Every artist I meet is that much cool. I'm like, it's not possible that they can all be this nice, this supportive, and this cool. I mean, I guess it's something we all love so much that, you know what I mean? There's like this real, I don't know, compassion for everybody else who loves it as much as we do. But it just absolutely amazes me.
And the fans.
Yeah, the fans are just amazing. What they do for each other. That guy who bought my artwork because some guy was deployed so that nobody else would buy it. He bought it for that guy on a ship. He's never met that guy before in his life. He dropped $100 on a piece of artwork to hold it till that guy came back from deployment, and then he would mail it to him. Where do you find people like this? Only in comics. I'm telling you, only in comics.
Well, that's the thing. We got to stick together. And I mean, you know, a lot of the artists and a lot of the fans and everything, you know, realize that, you know, Marvel and DC, you know, the big two are for themselves. And, you know, it's really gotten bad to the point that, you know, it doesn't work for them. And
Right.
that's part of the reason why the indie community has thrived so much, is because, you know, if you like something that somebody does that's a good friend of yours, you're really going to push it and say, hey, check out what my friend does. And then they're like, oh, well, check out what my friend does, you know. And then it's like, you know, with Phil, you meet Knowlton through Phil. And then now you've got covers that you did for Vampires New Jersey.
Right.
I mean, it's just, you know, everybody helps everybody to push, you know, their project because
Their own
they
project.
believe in each other.
Yep. And I guess, you know, I mean, like Joshua was saying, he went to a con and met a couple artists who were asses. Trust me, I met them at cons too. I won't say names. But I thought they were really dismissive and stuff like that. I think what you hit it right, Russell. In the independent world, in the independent con world, it's very important to be connected with other publishers, creators, and artists, or you're not going to get your book out there because you're not the big two or the big three. You know what I mean? Like, you have to rely on other people's advice and other people's guidance. In other words, like Alton had to rely on a lot of people's guidance to launch his first Kickstarter. So I think there's less, let's call them jerks, in independent, because you don't make it very far in independent if you're a jerk to other people. You know what I mean? Because eventually nobody will know who you are. Because if Tom or Wendy, or if you launch your book, everybody's going to know about it because everybody's going to share and support and spread the word of it. So if you're a jerk and you get no support from the other independents and the fans of independents and stuff, I think you just disappear. That's why, you know, because there are artists at convention, big name artists, who act like total jerks, you know, like, well, you're not going to see them in our group, that's for sure, because we're not going to support them. You know,
absolutely not.
So wait, I wanted to ask you one question, because I don't know, how long is this thing supposed to be?
Well, it doesn't matter. We can go till whenever.
Oh, okay. What was the name? And I forgot, because I'm horrible with if it's not an artist whose work I've specifically focused on, like I say, even something strange like Pete Tepang. If it's not an artist that I've focused on their work, their name usually slips my mind. Who's the big scorer for your book? What's the guy's name again?
Dan Fraga.
That's it. I knew it. Fragtastic. I knew it. I made a joke about it. I said something about his name. So tell me about this. How'd this happen?
Well, I messaged him, I want to say back in February or March, when I messaged everybody, and I was like, hey, you know, would you be willing to do a book, a piece, an illustration for my book that I'm doing that's going to come out this November?
Right.
And, you know, Dan Fraga, you know, was a big artist when Image first started out, and one of his independent comics was Black Flag.
Okay.
And so this year, right around April, he launched the rebirth or the reboot of Black Flag.
Okay.
And so he was really busy, and he's like, man, it all depends on if I have time or not.
Right.
And so then I went on down the list, and I was like, I'm cool with it, because I got a lot of people on there, like, I got Ed, Stef,
Right.
CB Zane, Wendy,
Yeah,
and all these. I was like,
Yeah, you have a lot of lesser known artists, less famous, less special artists. Is that what you're saying, Russell?
No.
I'm kidding you, man. I'm busting your chops. The funny thing is, you said Black Flag. This is how much I know about comics. Okay? You said Black Flag. The only thing I can picture is the punk band. I have no idea what Black Flag is. I honestly have legitimately no idea what Black Flag is. I just nod my head and say, oh, yeah, that's great. Black Flag. Yeah, that's great. Now, all I can think about is the group. It had I remember the logo of the group was like 3 bars on like a black field or something. Do you remember Black Flag from the 80s?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. That's all I get from that. See, Mike knows who he is. You people read comics. Amaze me. Because I have no idea who these people are. But he said he could do it.
Well, and so here's the thing. So, I went down the list because I had a list of about 15 people that I wanted. And I was like, I'm just going to ask everybody. And then when it's all said and done, I'll go back through and pick out the ones, and put together a budget. And this is what I can afford.
Right.
And so, I definitely wanted to get you and Ed and Wendy and CB and David Harrigan. All of them were like, I got to have them. And then I had I'll talk to Don McTagg. I'll talk to Ryan Kincaid.
Right.
And I'll talk to Dan Fraga, and I'll see what happens. Because these are big name people that are like, whatever, I don't have time with you.
And they're booked. They're booked. They're booked solid, those kind of people.
Yeah, and it's not to say that they're ignorant and they're like, oh, I'm too big for you. But in my mind, here I am, this little person, and they're this big name artist out there doing, huge projects, and they're like, oh, why would I want to do a piece for you? Not that they would ever say that, but in my mind, I feel like that's what they're going to say. And so I asked Dan, and he's like, I'm busy with Black Flag. I'm rebooting it. It just depends on if I have time. So I did the raffle.
Being in a band is tough.
Yeah, it is tough. So I did the raffle, and I didn't know, how well it was going to pan out, or if I was going to be able to sell all the spots for it. And so, with everything that's happened, I ran into a bunch of hiccups, and, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to have to do it without these last few pieces of art. Well, so we did the raffle, and thanks to you and everybody, we were able to sell all the spots and get the slabs out and everything. And the day before, I guess it was a day or two before we sold all the spots, I reached out to Dan, and I was like, I don't know if it's possible or not, but, by September, do you think that you would have time to do a piece for my book? And he's like, yeah, September, I can do that. He's like, things are starting to free up. Just message me in September and we'll get this done. And I'm like,
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, and he may not be the biggest artist out there, and he may not.
Doesn't matter. He's your biggest artist.
Yeah. Well, he's one of my biggest artists.
Right. He's somebody you want. Dude, I know it. You know what I mean? Like, I got on Facebook, and I'm drawing and selling my drawings on Facebook. And then, a couple of people are asking me for covers. And then one day I come downstairs and I pick up my phone, and in my comments list is Ebass saying "go ass" on one of my pictures. And I'm like, fucking Ebass is looking at my artwork and saying, you know what I mean, that I drew a nice ass on my artwork. It's freaking Ebass. And I'm like, I know exactly what you're saying. When Fraga says, oh yeah, we can do it, you're just like,
what?
You're like,
and
yeah,
so I was really
I know, you totally fangirl. For a second, your brain just like freezes up like, oh my God, Dan Fraga's going to do a picture for my book. I know what you're saying. Dude, it's the same thing. The first time Bill McKay reached out to me in chat, and I was just like, because I commented back and forth with him or whatever, and then he shot me a question. I think it was about the con in January. I'm like, I freaking have messages from Bill McKay in my phone. Like, how's this happening? You know, it just blows your mind. Absolutely blows your mind. And then, like I said, the weird thing is, you message them and they turn out to be the coolest people in the world. And you're like, holy frig, how was I not friends with this guy before? I know he's a big celebrity and everything, but he's a nice guy. He's awesome. So,
but it goes back to the whole indie thing. You know, Dan Fraga started out in indie comics, you know, with Image. When Image first came out, you know, it was kind of like a low level, you know, publisher that was putting out small books. And, you know,
before
now
there were Kickstarters for all these little guys. Yeah, Image was a little guy.
Yep, yeah. Image was a little guy, and then he started out in that. And now he's a huge, big name artist, and so, you kind of think big too when you go to talk to one of them. It's like, okay, am I going to get the cold shoulder? You're not important,
right.
And you automatically, you automatically paint a picture for that person just based off of the fact of their legitimacy or their famousness, the level of famousness,
right?
And so you can't really go by that. You just got to put yourself out there and say, hey, would you do this? And, you'll be surprised at how cool some of these people really are. I mean, like you and CB and David and Wendy and all them.
You'd be amazed how cool these people are. And like the creators, how supportive they are, if you reach out to them, like Alton was able to reach out to all of these people because he's the new kid on the block, right? But there was CB, there was Wendy, there was Jim with all this advice, like, hey, this is what you need to do. This is how you launch a Kickstarter, da-da-da. So, yeah, it's amazing. But, no, and I still remember that. Like, like you said, you get this image in your head, like I did, like Ebass, how busy is this guy that he has time to drop a comment on something I did was really cool. Like, so.
So I know there was a lot of people that weren't here earlier when you were talking about it.
So who's making fun? You have messages from Russell Allen on your phone. Yeah, we all do, usually with GIFs involved. And Lewis saying he wishes I would answer my calls. Lewis always wants to phone call me. I don't know. It was so funny because he says he was typing one night. Good night, Ruben. He was typing me a message one night, and he's like, let me just call you. And I literally typed back instantly. I'm like, what are you, from the 90s? Nobody calls anybody anymore. He's like, so you wouldn't answer my call? And I'm like, no, I don't answer my phone. I text. I literally, there's only one person who calls me on my phone other than Gary. And that's Joe Massimo from Buku Comics. I don't know why he calls on my phone, but he calls. And he's the only person I've ever talked to on my phone other than Carrie, probably. Because everybody texts. Who calls anymore?
Well, I do. Like Meredith the other day, Meredith Lawfren. She's part of a Terraform Comics, which is like a new publisher that her and Brian K. Morris have gotten together to do. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I've been sharing out, Brian K. Morris and Meredith stuff a lot lately. So he does like Further Into the Nevermore, and on Tuesday nights he does a like 2-hour show, and what they do is they bring in like book publishers, comic book publishers, editors, writers, authors, basically anybody you can think of, background artists, and they ask them questions and give everybody in the audience a chance to say, hey, I'm working on my project, how do you overcome this obstacle? And it's a really cool show. And
what'd you do, step on the cat?
No, did you step on the cat?
Well, I thought I heard a cat.
Nope, it was me going ow.
Oh, okay. I thought you were stepping on a cat. Go ahead. The show Boundless Adventures, or whatever the name is, you were selling us.
Boundless Adventures.
Whatever you call the show.
So anyway, no, what I was saying was Meredith, this weekend is indie event, which is like, it's not really a con, but it is an online con, but it's not.
Right.
And you guys should check it out. It's INDEEVENT. I'll post it later.
Yeah.
But just kick the cat. No, it was me going ow because I accidentally hit the ball of my foot on the edge.
Dude, I swear I hear a cat. That was not. This is.
Oh no, my cat. That's Midnight. She's meowing from downstairs.
Yeah, because it's not my cat that's meowing. I'm like, I know I'm hearing a cat. It's just funny because she meowed when you moved, so everybody figured you kicked her.
Yeah, no, she's upset because she can't come up here and sit in my lap, but she'd be an attention hog and she'd be holding the camera, and nobody
You
wants
know,
to see the cat.
one of the first shows I knew I was going to like Jesse because his cat was outside the door creating a ruckus. And I
Yeah,
typed into the comments, and I didn't even know Jesse then. And I typed into the comments, let the cat in. So he went over and let the cat in and did exactly what you said. The cat monopolized him. Like, he had to draw with the cat in his lap, like, and her
yep.
paws, like, on his arm and stuff. She wasn't letting go. And I thought that was the most awesome thing. Like, obviously the guy, appreciates his animals. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Cool artist. Can hang out with his cat.
A name for my show. It suddenly stopped
Stop
meowing.
meowing afterwards.
So anyway,
Oh, Phil needs a name for a show? Phil needs a name for a show? Doesn't he have a name? Oh, no, it's Comics in More New Jersey. That's a lousy name for a show.
No, he's talking about for this.
For this show?
No, for the one I just typed in.
Oh.
You'll have to give it a second because I'm dual streaming right now.
Oh, and plus you're typing, so we know how well that went.
So there it is. So if you look this
up, event. Gotcha.
If you look this up on Facebook, it's taking place Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it's going to be every hour is going to be a show with so Phil will be on with his show, I believe Friday night, right, Phil? And then my show, Russ Explode Studios, I'll be on with Wendy, Eve, and Ed Williams. All four of us will be on talking about my book, talking about their art, talking about Naughty Fairies.
That's this weekend coming up.
It's this weekend coming up. So it starts Friday night and it runs all the way through Sunday. And if you go to, I'll send you the link to it, stuff. But if you go to Indie Event on Facebook and you look it up, there's a site you can go to, and it'll give you Friday, Saturday, and Sunday schedule of like Luke Snone's going to be on there. Third Empire Comic Publishing will be on there. Pops Van Zandt will be on there.
Oh God, Pops!
There's going to be a ton of people on there.
Yeah, and Joshua, he skipped right over that typing comment. No, that sounds cool. I haven't seen anything about it yet, and that worries me because it's Tuesday. You need to get this event out there.
Yes, well, we're working on it. The problem is so with last weekend there was the CromCon 4. They were promoting and promoting, and then all of a sudden Facebook deleted all their promoting. Like everything was gone. Right. So Pops was like messaging everybody, and it's just been a whole hoopla. Facebook making their updates every week. But definitely, if you guys get time tonight, look up the Indie Event. And
because this is the first time I'm hearing it, and I might like to see some of those publishers that you were talking about. And plus, if say Phil is on Saturday twice, those are the 2 time slots I'm probably going to want to miss. So I need to know the schedule. And just kidding you, Phil. I'm just busting your chops, Phil.
And it's not good. The reason why it's an online Comic-Con, but it's not really a con, is part of the indie event is just going to be about indie publishers, indie writers, indie comic creators all coming together and talking tips and talking shop and about the industry and about why these online Comic Cons aren't working out. Right. Not saying anything against all of them, but there's some
that aren't doing as well. There's some that aren't doing it as well. I know, and that's why you want to.
It's not just that. Some of them are charging an entry fee.
No. Can't do that. Come on.
No. And so that was something that they were talking about today. Is going to be one of the big things is what we're going to have a panel on. What does everybody like about the online cons, and what does everybody dislike about the online cons, and what online cons should we stay away from down the road that charged an admission fee? Like, how are you going to charge people to get online?
Right?
That's absurd.
And more importantly, why would you want to? Look, you don't have a guaranteed crowd. The last thing you do is turn away people with a cover charge. You know what I mean? Like, unless you're one of those nightclubs that know that 1,000 people are going to try and get in every night, you don't charge a cover charge because 20 people might show up. That makes no sense. You don't want to turn anybody away. So,
well, and that the problem is these online cons were created because we can't have the physical cons right now. And I've always been a big believer in the online cons anyway. I've been working on trying to get something like this going with Comic Book Nation for 2.5 years.
Right.
Well, that's why I started Art Exposure 2.5 years ago. It wasn't because I wanted to get exposure and get my name out there because I was writing in a book. It was because I wanted to get everybody else's name out there.
Right.
So, like, the actual physical cons are fun to get to meet people like you and stuff like that. But the drawback is spending $1,100 on a hotel room for 3 weeks.
I know.
Or the artist having to spend $200-300 for a table and end up with a TV tray like Josh, freaking TV tray. I mean, really, man?
No, but like Tom and Wendy were talking about it for creators like them or publishers like them, independent publishers. The cost is sometimes more than they're going to make. You know,
exactly.
At least with an artist, if he can set up and say an artist can do a 3-day convention for $2,000, just say, for example, right? And then can sell, maybe $1,500 worth of books. Then he's going to get commissions probably from the show. So if he has commissions from the show, he might be able to break even. It's not really about, nobody goes to a con, and I know this from all the artists, nobody goes to a con as an artist and makes $15,000 or $20,000 like they can on a Kickstarter. It's about meeting people at the show, meeting the fans. It's that connection part. And if they can break even, they're lucky. And maybe they can make a little bit of money, but generally they're doing it because that's their way to meet the fans. So if we can do the online cons in a way that artists get to meet the fans, that's the whole point. It's not to make a ton of money. As an artist, it'd be nice if an artist would be able to get on there and sell some stuff. Great. But it's really about an artist getting on there and seeing people and meeting people.
Well, and so my thing is this. So if you go and you visit an artist at a con, you got a line of people. There's 1,000 people in line.
Right.
And you wait 7 hours just to talk to the artist that you've always wanted to meet. And they like, hi, what do you want signed by? Mm-hmm. But the online platform, when I started Art Exposure, it was to get people like you. I pushed you, I know, for like 4 or 5 months to join. You're like, oh no, you don't want me on there. I'll blow your feet up. I'm like, no, Stef, I do want you on here. Get on here. And
because I comment bomb and feed bomb the crap out of sites. I've had groups tell me, come back to me and say something, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, and I go right in and delete the group. Like, I'm letting you know up front, I'm going to murder your group site. So unless you're ready for a lot of crap.
But the thing is I'm the admin of the group, and I'm like, Stef, come in here. We've been friends for quite a while then. So, that was my huge roadblock. I'm not trying to, bust your chops about it. I'm just saying I come to you. I came to CB. I came to Wendy, some of you, like Wendy was like, yeah, I'll join. And then CB was like, okay, I'll look at it. And he never joined. Well, then when Scorpiana 2 came out, or not Scorpiana 2, Into the Suck 5 came out, we actually got him to come on and do like an online con with CBN. And so that was when he joined.
Right.
And that's been the hardest part, is not doing the online cons, is getting people that were willing to do it.
Right.
But now the artists are forced to do it, and I think everybody sees that it's a better platform for the con crowd, because for one, you don't have the $1,100 hotel expense, the $200 or $300 food expense. Then you got to buy the con badges, and then when you get in there, the artists, in order to make their table fees back, might be selling a $20 book for $40.
Right.
And whereas online, the artist has no fees, no table fees, no hotel room, no food fees. They can eat from the comfort of their own home, and they can take a $20 book and turn it to $15 and sell 1,000 copies instead of 10.
No, the only thing you don't get is con checks, But hey, what are you gonna do?
Oh no, Tom must not have
Oh,
got the memo.
what
Tom
is
just messaged me.
who?
Somebody tagged Tom Andrus
Why?
because he just messaged me and asked if we were having a show tonight. Apparently, he missed the invite.
No, he was he came in at 8:00. He was commenting on your feed at 8:00 saying where's the show. So please don't tell me he missed the entire show. Oh boy, he's gonna be pissed. Oh crap, I'm gonna hear about that. So Johnson was saying how the online cons have not utilized Facebook groups like the Artist Alley Shopping. Yeah, to answer your question, Joshua, because it is a valid question. Wendy did an online con, and it was really the first time anybody's ever done that, right? So there was a lot there that couldn't be done or wasn't done because we didn't know. Now, I actually sent something to Wendy on July 22nd. A group is doing an online con, and they made a map and everything. So it has a lot of similarities to what Wendy did. And I want to see how they're going to do, because they have tables with artists. And not just a list of tables, because it's not a Kickstarter. It's an actual con, and they have tables and a map and an artist. I'm dying to see how they do the artist part of it, or the tables part of it, because that's something we want to pick up for ClickCon. When ClickCon comes out, we want to be able to take some notes and do the same kind of thing, so that you can actually visit an artist table at the online con, which would be kind of cool. Even if it's time slots, hey, I want to see this artist. He comes on at 12 to 1 o'clock, but in a way that's interactive,
Have a good one, Phil. So,
Phil leaving?
Anyway,
Later, Phil.
Phil's leaving.
Hey, Scott.
So,
still charge $8 for beers for ClickCon. Yeah. He'll mail them to you, but yeah, $8 a beer.
So, I mean, Ed was with me from the start. Finney, one of the artists that's done a piece for my book, they'll be live with me the 21st of this month.
What group is? Am I a member of this group?
Yeah.
What
you
group?
are now. Comic Book Nation.
How come I never post there? Am I allowed to post there?
Yeah, you're allowed to post there. I've been posting your stuff there, and you've been liking it.
Well, because I don't know. There are certain groups in my list. Like, there's 15 groups in my list, tops, because I got to weed them out all the time. There are certain groups in my list that I know are okay with what I post, because let's face it, a lot of what I post could be slightly controversial in nature.
Yeah.
The art. So I know the safe groups to post to, and the other ones I don't go anywhere near because they have trigger happy admins that'll be like, oh, well, I don't know about this, and so I only know I didn't know I could post to Comic Book Nation. Have you ever told me this? Is this something you told me?
Yeah, probably
say,
like
hey, go
for
ahead
like 6 months, and then I gave up on you. I'll send you an invite to Art Exposure tonight.
Please
Again.
do. And I will begin.
You probably still have a pending invite that I sent you 2 years ago.
But you know how far down that is? I will begin post bombing you tonight. That's the interesting thing. You probably saw that my Instagram is just absolutely blowing up. You know what I realized? I happened to go back through some of my posts. I was looking for something. I'm not seeing any of the comments people are dropping on the post, because my stupid Instagram notifications tells me that 182 people liked something, one after another. So if you go in and you comment on one of my Instagram posts, it disappears inside of seconds. So I actually have to go back physically through the posts and check, for comment stuff. So it's really weird. So it's the same thing. Your group invite disappeared 5 seconds after I got it. It just got buried under everybody else's comments.
So it'll be 10 your time at 9 my time. So it's 10 Eastern. Everything on Indie event is Eastern time.
Eastern time. Okay.
But yeah, no, but that was my whole point of
cool. I want to see you and Ed. Sorry.
Yeah, and that was my whole point with doing comic book, Chris and I doing Comic Book Nation and me doing Art Exposure. I started the Art Exposure. It's a division of CBN. It's attached to CBN, but it was like my baby.
Right.
And I freaking tried so hard to get people to do live shows. That was when I started hacking really hard on Ed about let's get on and do a live show. Let's get on and do a live show. And it's been going on like 2 years now. And
Wow.
Finney was the only one that ever did a live show except for Sean Forney, Armando Ramirez. And, you know, there's several people that joined later on, Corey Peralt. And it was to get people to go on and do these live shows. And it's something that I really enjoyed was seeing, you know, Jesse and you and CB and David Harrigan. And I ended up coming across Artist Alley Shopping Network. You see, I started Art Exposure way before I ever even found Artist Alley Shopping
Really?
Network. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I found Artist Alley Shopping Network and seen you know, Jesse and all them on there. And so then I was like, you know, this is exactly what I've been trying to do. Why does nobody want to do this? Because it's free.
Well, you got to understand though, with the Artist Alley Shopping Network, it's attached to the hugely popular Comic Book Shopping Network. So the Comic Book Shopping Network brings in viewers. So I guess the Artist Alley Shopping Network now attached. Now the problem is you're going up against the big network because your artists that are on the Artist Alley Shopping Network now are probably not. They do one show a week. They don't want to do 2 shows a week or something like that. And plus now you're probably conflicting with time spots. So if David Harrigan is on Friday night, all the David Harrigan viewers are going to be over there watching him. You know what I mean? Because it's live.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't just that. It was just so.
So I'm just saying it would have been harder for you to get people to come on to Art Exposure than it would be for, say, Tom Hutchinson to get people from BDI or the Binge Bar to go on an adjoining network. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they already had that connection and a huge audience.
Have a good one, Lewis. Well, and the thing is I was, you know, it was trying to get exposure for the artists and stuff because it's not just exposure, but it's the one-on-one. That's what's so fun about these live shows is, you know, the comments,
right?
You know, getting to know people, having that personal relationship, you know,
I agree.
To where I can tag Jesse Witchman in this week's Stef Pool cover and he'll come over and he'll put a laugh face on it because he's like, oh my God, really? Me again?
It's the interaction.
It's this interaction that we've built. Instead of waiting in line for 3 hours to get an autograph and a hi and a bye, you can actually get on and build relationship and an actual following as an artist. You know, like Dawn McTagg, you know, when she got on last night,
right?
You know, there was like at most of the time there was over 100 people watching.
Right.
And
was that her Twitch?
It was on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube.
Yeah.
I think she broadcast to YouTube too.
Right.
So, and it was just on Facebook. It was like 100 and something viewers. And it's like, you know, doing these live shows, I think is a lot better for the artist money wise and exposure wise than to try to go to a con. Cause you know, you may spend $2,000, like you said, to get a con, but it's all about where you're situated.
Right.
If you're not in a main part of the floor that everybody walks by and you're in the corner with the TV tray, Josh,
right,
you're not going to get that exposure to be able to make your $2,000 back.
No, I get it.
In the corner and nobody walks by your table except for a handful of people. So you got to pay primo money to get those good spots or know somebody that knows somebody to get those good spots. But here, you don't have to know anybody. You just got to say, hey, I'm going live tomorrow. Come check out my show. Well, then Steph joins my show and says, hey, check out Russell Allen. He's got this book, you know, and 2 of his friends get on. And then 2 of their friends get on. And, you know, it may start out small. And that's, you know, like with Ed, you know, when he goes on, a lot of you guys will watch with him. But it's all about sharing Ed's videos, your friends watching, them joining the videos and then sharing, and their friends watching. And before too long, you know, at the end of the year, you have 150 followers that are like, hey, I want 80 of these Harry Potter prints, you know.
Right.
And you know, it's building that network. And that's what's, like you had touched on earlier, what's so great about the indie is that we all help each other do that.
Right.
Because it's not just about how successful I am. I can't be successful without
everybody else around you. No, I agree.
Exactly.
All right, I got to get going.
Yeah, I do too. I was getting ready to tell you, I can't believe we've been live for 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah. Every time I get onto these things, it seems to be 2 hours. But no, but yeah, exactly. It's for us. You know it. I know it. We're nobody without each other. You know what I'm saying? We're all connected together, and we all do really awesome when we're together. Other than that, you know, you can't survive in the indie comic world. You cannot survive on your own. You will eventually run into a wall because, you know, the same creators that support you expect you to support everybody else. You know, it's kind of expected, you know. It's not demanded of you by any means, but it's like, I'm not surprised when CB asks you to put a link about something on his thing. You know what I mean? Like when you're on one of these shows and people are slapping their links for their projects and stuff, that's kind of expected, you know. Like it's nice, and it's nice to see, but it's also like, yeah, that's what indie is all about. When are you going to see Marvel promoting DC? It's never going to happen.
Nope.
It's a different world. All right, man. I'll let you go.
All right, bud. Well, have a good night. Thanks for coming on. And,
no, thanks for having me, man.
For anybody that doesn't know, you can find stuff at badcarrystudios.com.
Or on my live show on Thursday nights.
Yes, Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Have a great night, Ed.
7 p.m. Central. Come join us. Give Stef some crap.
Give me crap in the comments. Carrie will read them to me.
Hey,
Mike. Bye, Joshua. Bye, Lewis. All right. Have a good night, Russell. Good luck with the wasp.
Bud.
All right, man.
Bye. Well, guys, thanks for joining tonight. That was Stef and I, the leader of Stef. And, you know, I think we talked a lot of different things tonight. One of them being, you know, helping out each other, which is a big deal. You know, I don't share everybody's stuff expecting them to share mine. I just do it because everybody has awesome projects. Lewis, you know, if you're still on here, throw your Lily the Demoness Kickstarter link in there. You know, we've got several awesome Kickstarters running right now. We got Lily the Demoness. We have Totally Rad Comics and The Life of Violet and Rax #1. And then we have Naughty Fairies, Stripper Assassins with Wendy Steen Shaner, and Scorpiana 2 with Michael Shoemaker and CB Zane. And, you know, that's what it's all about, is putting each other's name out there, trying to get people to help each other out. And, you know, we have a great group here. Like Ed likes to call it Team Titan. So, I don't know. It sounds kind of close to Teen Titans. So, I don't know. Somebody might not be too happy about that, but, you know, that happens. But I really appreciate you guys being here tonight. It was a great show. Lots of fun. No freeze ups. Ha. Take that. And I guess I will see you guys over the next few days, probably tomorrow. Yeah, Tom Hutchinson with Big Dog Inc. And then Thursday, Stef's show. So I will see you guys around. Have a great night. Have a good week.